it's not just a show, but you learn later on in the movie that it's like this little, like a motorcycle gang that has decided like, oh, to make money instead of doing, it's like Sons of Anarchy, but instead of drugs and guns, we're going to do like circus performing.
Yeah, and you hear him say it. Savini says, I'm a trade school dropout. I'm not going back to that. And you probably hear about 5 other characters doing that. So I think 80% of them are just going along with it because it's fun and they get to tour around and they just follow the rules. Like, I got a boss.
Right.
And then about 15% are into it, and then 5% are really into it. Like, Savini's into it for the bikes.
Yeah.
But then there's Ed Harris, who, he's a prickly dude in this movie. But
he believes he's the king.
Yeah, he's very naive, but he's also extremely idealistic as well.
And I'd say loyal. You want him on your team.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny, though. He has no idea. He's like, that one guy's talking to him, we need money for gas. We need money for food. He's like, do you know how much gas costs? So it's interesting. He's just this guy who leads this band, and he probably doesn't know how much gas costs.
No. So speaking of the stunts for a second, turning back to Tom Savini, because he like does, clearly he's a stuntman, so he does his own stunts plus other stunts. But there was a bike flip in that first like raid or first like show where he was fighting Billy the King, and then Billy gets knocked off his bike, and then the other knights come in. And when they finally flip Morgan's bike, I thought for sure that they had broke Tom Savini's neck.
Oh, there are several stunts in this. So when that guy, when the guy hits the ramp and falls on the ramp, there's the one shot where the guy flipped at the end when they have the private battle. That dude flips over the car and lands on his head.
Yep.
I mean, they must have sped it up, I guess, and they did have helmets, but you don't have a helmet for your neck.
Yeah, your helmet doesn't stop your neck from breaking off.
Yeah.
Like they look terrifying.
Now,
but again, it's 81. So it's in this era of like all our stunts are in camera. They're all going to be practical effects, and like the real badass actors are the ones who do their own stunts.
Yeah, and Ed Harris said he got off his bike to 107 one time, and Savini said that he was riding Ed Harris's bike, and his helmet almost flew off. He looked down, he saw he was going 107 miles. So they were living it. And whenever they drove away from the set, the stuntmen would they would pop their front tire and put it on the trunk of people's cars. So the stuntmen were insane. And they were led by Gary Davis, who I don't know if you know who this is, but he did all of Snake's guitar stunts, motorcycle stunts in Escape from L.A. He's been on X-Men Days of Future Past. Pretty much any movie with motorcycle gags, he's been doing it. So they brought in a legit team of motorcycle guys.
On a movie like this, like more important than writing, costumes, special effects, acting quality, is you need to have like safety, because you don't want to have anybody die on this set.
Yep.
And very easily in 81, someone could have died on this set.
14 people.
Right? Like it's just nonsense after nonsense happening, and it's super entertaining. Like the entertainment value is through the roof, but you're like, this could have easily been the story of like The Crow, where like it's a great movie, but it's sad because Brandon Lee died, right? And so it could have been like, Tom Savini did all these stunts and also broke his neck and died because of a night movie. Luckily that didn't happen, but it's like watching a live stunt show when you're watching the movie, because you know that Morgan's doing all that stuff.
You know what though? I appreciate it though. I watched that movie The Raid, and I feel bad for the stuntmen because I just feel like they are getting destroyed. And I watched this movie, and I mean, people so a guy broke his collarbone. They said another guy broke his steel cup. Another guy bruised his quad, right? Yeah, bruised his quad when he hit it on the steering wheel. So, I mean, but it's interesting. I don't know if you listen to the commentary or not, but Savini was training and he got cut on his head, and I guess Romero just let him have it. So after that, they started being more careful on set.
Right.
So maybe it was more controlled than we realized, because they did add like booster seats on the motorcycles to shoot people off. They in 81. So I always talk about when you see special effects guys now, they're all 40s, 50s years old. They all just look rugged and beat up. So they probably all worked on this movie, and all their injuries are from that.
Right. It's Knightriders throughout.
Every guy you meet worked on Knightriders and got injured.
So here's a question for you.
Yeah.
Have you, in all your con experience, you clearly have met Savini, right?
Yeah.
So what was your impression of Savini?
Real nice guy. What'd you think?
I got in a fight with him.
You got into a fight with Savini?
Yeah. So it was at Fan Expo in 2005. And so he was at a table with George Romero. So I went up and I was working there. But I went on my like hour off or whatever it was. I wanted to get Romero to sign my Night of the Living Dead DVD, and I want to get Savini to sign my From Dusk Till Dawn DVD. And so Savini had a bunch of props he had made up on the table in front of him, and he had that like the codpiece gun.
Oh yeah,
from Dusk Till Dawn. And so I said, "Oh, that's the gun." I said, "Oh, how you guys doing?" And I was like, I'm a pretty friendly guy. I'm not like an uber fanboy. I can kind of keep my cool. I was like, "Oh, thank you guys for what you've done, and a big fan of your work." I said, "Oh, that's cool. That's the gun from Dusk Till Dawn." And it was also in the guitar case in Desperado. And he was like, "This is not the gun from Desperado. It was a different gun." And he apparently they had copied his gun.
Oh gosh.
And he was like very upset with me about the whole thing. And I was like, "I didn't know." And he's like, "Well, you should do." And so I got kind of like into and my friend John Cross was with me, and he was like, why are you fighting with Tom Savini? I was like, he was mean to me. So I think we got off on the wrong foot. But every time I watch Savini, I'm kind of like, yeah, maybe you should get a little more hurt. Like, I don't have a whole lot of love for Tom Savini.
He seemed chill.
Yeah. But well, you didn't insult his props, I think.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Right? He could have been a bad day. So he woke up bad, something bad happened. Someone said something else to him. Yeah, and then he just kind of, yeah. I mean, I guess when you're at a con, you should probably keep your cool. But that's interesting. So Desperado ripped off that gun?
Yeah, so it was a different gun. I think because Rodriguez was involved, like he directed From Dusk Till Dawn, so I think it was like him trying to write a love letter to Savini. Like, we're going to tie these universes together. Like, you're a guy, maybe makes weapons for this guy. Like, I think it was one of those things. But apparently Savini was upset that they had tried to copy his gun without getting him some money for it or something. I don't know.
Oh, brother.
Yeah, it was funny.
I got to say something about Romero movies. So if you think about his movies, so you have Night of the Living Dead. I'm just going to go by his core. Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the... I'm just not like Marty, those movies.
Right.
Monkey Shines. I'm just going to say Dawn of the Dead, Night of the Living Dead, and Day of the Dead. So they're about these people who are in their own little societies.
Yeah.
They obviously Night of the Living Dead, you have to, but Night of the Living Dead, they put themselves into a house, and due to infighting, trouble happens, and horrible gasoline tactics. And then Dawn of the Dead, they find their own world. They're attacked by bikers, outside influences. Day of the Dead, they're attacked by infighting and outside sources. And then you have Knightriders, where they have their idealistic society, but then it's overtaken by infighting, money, and outside people. So there's a big theme in Romero movies.
100%. 100%. I would love it if the biker gang from Return of the Living Dead became the Knightriders gang.
Oh my gosh. I wrote an article about the blood pressure. So in Dawn of the Dead, this guy goes to a blood pressure machine, and before he can finish it, he gets eaten.
Right.
And I wrote an article guessing what his blood pressure would have been. And I just talked about his life of being dehydrated. He probably didn't eat. He probably ate a lot of processed foods on the road, hadn't eaten for a while. And when he was killed, his adrenaline was spiked. So I don't remember the number. It's on Movies, Films, and Flicks, but I came up with a good guess on his blood pressure. And I talked to several EMTs. I talked to nurses. I talked to my mother-in-law who was a nurse. And I got a ton of information about blood pressure. And I feel like I came up with a pretty good answer to what that guy's blood pressure would have been.
So here's my challenge for you, because one of the things I love about you is your like movie data stuff you just pull out. I love it. I can't get enough of it. I'm challenging you to again. It's going to require probably a rewatch of this movie or parts of it, but I want you to put together a budget for in 1981 and in 2019. What would it cost to run this show all summer, and what would you charge? What would you need to charge on ticket sales to make a profit?
Oh, as far as gasoline and meat?
Yeah.
They would have to stay in one location and just charge tickets for a week. They couldn't go to place to place.
Well, I think they do go place to place, though.
Yeah, that's not feasible.
Just with zero research, it is not feasible.
No, just the parts. because these motorcycles are getting destroyed, some of them, and there is food there. Where are they buying? Are they making these? So that if they're making their props, they have to stay somewhere. They eat a lot of hamburger, from what I learned. They camp out, so that's not too expensive. I think fuel, food. I mean, you could do everything on the cheap. Yeah, I could do the math.
Yeah. But there's also like the basket weavers, because that's a legit thing. Not everybody in these biker gangs is like real bikers. They're just like, oh, here's a basket weaver, and they sell their wares in like the what do they call it? The
booths, I guess.
The midway. They have like a midway, and they sell their wares there. So it's like, first off, what's it cost to get them their supplies? What does it look like? What's their turnover like? And that's why they got to go from town to town, because no one's going to keep coming there to buy their baskets week in, week out. And the
weather's an issue?
Absolutely. The weather's an issue. 100%. Also, like, I think it would suck to be the guy who's like weaving sandals. Because, you know, some of these guys go there and they want to pick up the townies. Like, Alan picks up this girl, whose dad is my favorite, because he pays a ticket to go to the show. Then he lays down and says, "Tell me when it's over."
Yeah, he just gets drunk. We're led to believe he's crunked, right?
Right, but he just does not care to be there. And then he just falls over, and then he wakes up when it's done. But you have all these like knights and motorbikes, and they're very handsome men. And then you have like the basket weaver. He's not going to get any attention from ladies at all.
I mean, here's the thing though. There are all these, you know, and as this movie proved, when Morgan breaks away, his buddies destroy a hotel room.
Yes, they do.
I mean, are they friendly fighting? Or are they just like their first taste of success and now they're brawling?
Maybe. I don't know. Have you ever been in a friendly fight before?
Not like that.
No. I was working at a music store for a while, and my buddy Hutton and I had to deliver an electric piano to a house, and we were told to be there at like 2. And so we showed up in the van, and then no one showed up till we waited there for an hour for them, and they kept texting like, "Yeah, we'll be on the way." And so Hutton gave me like a Charlie horse in the leg, because we were there for an hour, just sitting there being bored, which escalated into like this like kind of joking but kind of real like fight in the van, like we're smashing each other's heads off the steering wheel and stuff. And as the people pull up, we're like, bam, we're just like wrestling around in the van, and they're like, "What's going on?" We're like, "Oh, just here to take your piano inside." And then we like never spoke of it again. So I think that's kind of what's going on here. You know, it's just like boredom, because they're not in the society anymore. They're in a hotel room. They're not here with like everything going on. There's no
supervision. There's no supervision.
Yeah, it's like when you go camping for fun, you're surviving. There's not a whole lot of downtime, because you got to like prep and get a shelter, and like there's things going on. And I think that's what this is. There's tear down, there's set up that they don't have to do anymore.
Yep. So, but I guess what I was saying is these guys are very jocular. They're very lots of testosterone. They're very, you know, these motorcyclists. They just want to fight and sword fight. So you have the people that obviously are fans of that. But if you're a basket weaver, you're more relaxed. You're kind of chill. I believe once
if you're the tambourine player, you don't got a lot of skin in the game.
Yeah, I think they just gotta. It's just different. The jocks will go in, you know, they get all the attention, but the basket weavers, you know, maybe they work to the more sensitive crowd.
They're gonna have more conversations, right?
Yeah, exactly. They're not just gonna be loud. And you saw those women in that hotel room; they were cowering from this fight. So. The basket weaver's going to be looking. Too. The basket weaver's going to be. Yeah, me too. The basket weaver's looking pretty good right about now.
That's true. I love the beginning after the first show where the local bikers come and take over.
Yeah.
And one of those guys is Bud from Jag.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he's like a young biker with a handlebar mustache.
That's a good pull.
Yeah, it's a great pull. My wife loves Jag. It drives me crazy. But so you have these like regular bikers that are like, "Whoa, we're going to get there and show these guys what's what." And they steal their lances, and then they just get destroyed by the knights, like on the highway.
Yeah. And there were cops there, and there's high speed chases in which a motorcycle explodes. And one guy hits about 14 signs that say Zooks and tomatoes. I thought he hit the same sign 14 times. Like it looked like he hit the same sign, and they were just showing replays of it. But he was destroying a produce stand's signs.
That's like in Superman the movie where the car rolls down the hill like 18 times.
Yep.
It flipped once, but Richard Donner had 18 cameras on it.